Let's head over to India now and see what's going on there. The opposite of embracing cryptocurrency. So India is indeed banning crypto as a payment method, but they are regulating it as an asset. So this interesting situation where they think that, if we can define it as not currency, people will stop thinking of it like a currency and they'll think of it like an asset. All we need to do is just change these legal definitions and our regulation around it, and then that it will change being the asset that it is. It's kind of like saying, like, it's like saying that, no, this is a vase, not a crack pipe, right? Because we're going to define it as a vase. It's like, well, people are still going to use it as a crack pipe. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm going to throw it to the group here for your thoughts. Will, what's your thought on what's going on in India? Because this has been going on for forever.
That was an amazing analogy.
There's a lot going on. Crack pipes, baseball. Where are we right now, Naomi?
What?
I'm sorry. Like in those service
What were you doing
stations
before
where
the show?
they sell all those things that everyone knows is a crack pipe, but they're selling it as like, oh, it's a shoelace case. Oh, it's a rose in a case. It's but people actually. Anyway,
Where is
moving
this
on,
happening?
guys. Let's just breeze past this.
Wow, I'm gonna go
We'll
to that
throw it back to you.
That was so good. No, okay. Yes, getting back to the story, the very important story here. So India has always had like a very mixed relationship with crypto. Just like we've seen the China ban with Bitcoin, it's the same thing with India. Every month, there's some sort of ban coming out about it. If you dig into the weeds and really get into how the government structure works there, it's a lot more complex than the headlines read. There's a lot of different bodies that govern crypto or that could govern crypto. And I think like most other governments around the world, they're trying to figure out what Bitcoin is in the first place and then how to define it. Some interesting notes in this is that they don't want exchanges or other crypto products to be able to solicit to Indian investors. I think the big thing with that is the failure we've seen in the US and other places where a lot of these products come out, they solicit themselves to investors who aren't very savvy with products, and then they get pumped and dumped really quickly. That was the legacy of the 2017, 2018 ICO boom, and we have seen glimmers of it so far with this NFT craze. I think the Indian government is just a little bit more conservative, and they want to protect their people from that. Doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with it or that it's like the way to go, but it's what they kind of value. Another interesting note is that the exchanges there are looking for a regulatory sandbox that would be governed by a body in the Indian government there. We'll see if that happens. That's a pretty common use case for governments going forward. We've seen a lot of these sandboxes, especially in like offshore government areas. Sometimes they're helpful, sometimes not. I think we've seen the big winners are people like Binance and FTX who just say, screw it, let's just grow and see what happens later. Zach, I'll throw it down to you, though. This is a pretty complex story.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to sort of this tension between, crypto as a payment and crypto as an asset, right? It was sort of initially envisioned as a payment and sort of momentum accrued around it as an asset. So it's interesting to see this sort of being codified into policy somehow. But again, I'm with the crack pipe metaphor. It's going to be hard to figure out what is what here and what is being used. Like one, I just don't know. It's hard to parse this out. But it is interesting to see India continue to be pretty active when it comes to their conservative stance on the crypto industry writ large. So a lot going on, but I'll toss it to Jen for her take.
Yeah, so part of the story was talking about the ban on crypto advertisements because they mislead the youth. And this immediately made me think of Chingari, so India's version of TikTok, which we've spoken about on this show before. And their integration with the Solana blockchain. So they're supposed to launch the Gari token, which will allow creators on the platform to have e-commerce, launch NFT projects. And I wonder how this law, or if regulators are even thinking about tokens like this, might impact that project. And I know no one here probably has any answers for me, but I just wonder.
Sorry. I wonder too.
Yeah.